you watched the last episode, we left off with basically having this thing stripped down. All the tins are to paint. We'll catch you up real quick. Our fender struts, fenders, tank. We got a brand new tank. That's all getting painted, gloss black. But this bike's going to be given away to one lucky winner. To be entered, I'll have the information down in the description. Basically, we're going to be raffling it off. It's $60 a spot. If you come up and do not want the bike, we are going to cash you out at $5,000 if you rather have money instead of the bike. But all we really need to do at this point is get the bike back together. Once the paint comes in, we can't do anything with that. We're going to swap out these mirrors since these have some road rash on it. And it's got a little bit of a leak from the transmission. So we got some oil. The leak's coming from the O-ring on the drain plug. So we got an O-ring to replace that. But other than that, we should be pretty much good to go. But definitely comment down below what you think about this bike being given away. I know right now it's a little bit hard to envision the end goal, but we've got plenty of videos back in our history of this bike, and it's definitely a ripper. I love it. I kind of hate to see it go, but I want to move on to different things, and I've got no room and we need to do something else. But $60 a spot, PayPal, friends and family, everything will be down in the description. Check it out, comment, share with your friends, and definitely subscribe if you're not, so you can stay in the loop on this bike and all the other motorcycle content we got coming up. Alright guys, we got a bit of an issue with wanting to mount these mirrors. Mirrors mount like that, but they have a little spacer. Have a little spacer that sits on top, and the screw comes, or the bolt comes through the bottom. Well, with the added hand guards here, that just not quite enough threads just poke up from the bottom for the mirror to be able to mount. Yeah, we're missing just a little bit of thread there. We're either going to have to get longer bolts, or we're going to have to grind down them spacers just a hair on each side to get this to fit. So I'm not quite sure which direction we're going to take, that or just buy some mirrors for it. We're not going to be able to mount these. Took the mirrors off that we had because the only thing really left is a little bit of scuffing up front that's behind this. But it's really the only thing that's left that has some scratches and any type of road rash on it. So we're trying to clean all this up to raffle it off. So we'll get this sorted out one way or another. But now we just got to fix the drain plug and put oil back in it. Alright, while that's draining, I will say that I don't run just regular oil in each hole anymore. I know that's kind of a big thing that a lot of Harley people do. They'll use full synthetic AMS oil, or even the Harley oil, doesn't really matter, but they'll use full synthetic and they'll put it in all 3 holes. I used to do that, but I could definitely tell a difference in the way the bike shifted and rode. So I switched back to running a primary fluid, a trans fluid, and then engine oil. I keep them separated. I always put the heavier weight stuff in there like it's supposed to be. The engine oil is just a little bit too thin to be running in the trans and the primary. I know a lot of Harley people do it, but the performance and the protection just isn't there. So I do run primary and trans separate. You can get them at any place that you get your oil. A lot of times they might ask you, or they might just give you enough quarts of the 5W40 or whatever it is that they put, or the 15W40 that they put in the engine. But don't do that. Get trans fluid, get primary fluid, and get your engine oil and do it right. Alright guys, so epic fail on my part. The transmission was never leaking. I was looking at the wrong plug. It was the engine oil, which makes sense. That was the last thing I did. Luckily, we still have plenty of engine oil left over. So I guess we're gonna fill up the engine oil. I was looking at the wrong drain plug. I thought the one on the side was the transmission, but no, that's the engine. The one up in the bottom is the transmission, because I thought it was kind of weird. There's more oil than I thought it would be. It's only supposed to be a quart in the transmission. When I popped the transmission dipstick, it still had plenty of fluid in it, and I'm like, oh man. I fixed the right one. It was just the wrong hole, so it isn't that big of a deal. I've got plenty of oil laying around in anticipation for doing a different oil change. I run the same engine oil in all the bikes, so that works out pretty good. So let's throw that in there and fix this the right way. All right, we've got our engine oil filled back up now. All we need to do is just really clean up our workstation, because we can't accurately check until we start the motor up, crank it over a little bit, let it run, and then check it. So we can't really do anything. I'm not going to hook the tank back up or do any of that just for that. We will do that once we put everything together. When we'll fire it up, we'll check our oil level. Should be pretty close, but I always run it just a tad little low of what it probably should be. One, because you don't want to add too much in Harleys, because they will push it out the breather. But once you crank it up and get everything moving, especially since this bike is set for a little bit, we'll get an accurate reading. But luckily, our little mishap is okay. We can always use the oil we picked up in something else, and we had plenty of oil. I still have a quart and a half laying around, because I just used a Harley synthetic in pretty much everything, so it's not really an issue. But if you can please hit that like button for that blunder that we were able to get around. Comment down below, what do you think the progress of the raffle bike? I know I haven't really been able to film a whole lot, but we're getting there. I can't wait for the paint to get back. Look down in the description for all the stuff, all the details to get this bike. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because you definitely want to keep up to date on this bike. It's going to be sick. I can't wait for it to be finished. I love it, and I can't wait to see who gets it and can enjoy it for more years down the road. But as always, keep it wretched.